So this yeast and this yeast originate actually from the same breweries, which begs the question, is there a difference between liquid and dry yeast? And in this video, we're gonna break down exactly what that difference is, and if these should taste the same, what you have to do differently between them to make sure that you're getting consistent beer. So first of all, where do yeasts come from? Well, yeasts usually come from one original brewery, and then they have a start that's sold to different yeast manufacturers. How different yeast manufacturers, yeast companies grow their yeast will have small changes in the way the yeast presents, but usually that's negligible and not even noticeable. And in general, they are giving you the same genetically identical yeast if it comes from the same brewery, no matter if it's dry or liquid. Now, this particular one is from Sierra Nevada Brewery Company. This is the Chico strain is what they call it. And you'll find this one very, very commonly across pretty much any yeast manufacturer, but they all do a little bit different things. Let's talk about dry first. And the most commonly asked dry yeast question that I get is, if I'm using dry yeast, do I need to do a starter? My general answer to that is, first of all, yeast is the most important ingredient in your beer. If you're not taking good care of your yeast, you're not gonna get consistent beer. And if you want to brew like a commercial brewery, if you want consistent, clean flavors, then you should be taking care of yeast. And the number one thing to do with that is make a starter no matter whether you're using liquid or dry, no matter whether you're using a 200 billion cell count pitch yeast or a 100 billion cell count yeast. Across everything, do a starter. This isn't just for cell count. This is because your yeast is going to be chomping on beer sugars before it actually gets into your beer, which is going to give it a quicker start. And that does two things. It, first of all, competitively inhibits any bacteria from getting into the same thing while scrubbing oxygen. And it makes it sure that your yeast is not stressed out under the early phases of actually fermenting your beer. Stressed out yeast produces different flavors than yeast that's kind of just chilling and has all the nutrients it needs. So starter universally across all of these is a great idea. Now, in the manufacturing process, each liquid yeast actually has a different medium that it grows in. Something like Imperial, actually their storage medium is DI water, which is great because it makes it so the yeast isn't going to try to eat itself while it's being stored, but it also runs the risk of, if this gets heated up, there's nothing for this yeast to eat while being stored other than itself. So in terms of degradation, this will store very well if kept cold, but it performs more poorly if kept warm, at least for, let's say, the day or two before you actually brew with it. Compared to something like Y yeast, which has a nutrient pack and a beer wort growth medium, that can actually grow itself in its own package, and so it gives the perception of a starter. It doesn't do the same thing as an actual starter, but it can get warm before adding it to your beer, theoretically making it less risky to get temperature shock. Dry yeast go through an entire different process. Dry yeast are actually, they go through a process that makes them dry, in which case, when they go into your beer, technically have lower viability. More of these are expected to die when they go into your beer than something like a liquid yeast, especially a fresh liquid yeast. The positive to that is that these dry yeast 11-gram packets usually have way more yeast cells in them than something like a Y yeast pack. I think they're equivalent to a little bit over what you would get in an Imperial pack, especially when you calculate the degradation over time of one of these that's stored. Now the downside, besides having lower viability, and what that means is fewer cells that are going to survive just rehydrating and starting to ferment your beer. The downside to that is also that when they are dehydrated, the cell walls don't have the ability to regulate what goes in and out of the yeast cells. So how do you take care of this? Well, before you add it to your starter, you could rehydrate it. But personally, I think rehydration gives you enough viability going into the starter, and the starter itself obviously multiplies those cells enough to get into your beer with a high enough cell count. The reason that I don't usually rehydrate my dry yeast, and this is across all boards, is because a lot of people either don't use sanitary water, they use water that's got chlorines in it, or when they are boiling and chilling their water to make sure that they do sanitize their water, they still try to rehydrate their yeast at too hot of a temperature and kill more cells than just pouring the thing into your beer. Now, with something like this, let's say you're adding 2-3 packets, you're adding a lot of yeast cells. Why is it still important to do a starter besides the fact that it's going to be eating beer sugars going into your beer? Well, in the case of IPAs or anything that's super hoppy, that becomes doubly important because that hydrated cell wall that goes onto these is going to allow it to select against specifically hop oils, which hop oils, if they get inside your yeast cell, are bad. They'll kill your yeast, they'll hurt your yeast, you get lower viability. So when you're treating this across all boards, do a starter. And if you're making an IPA and you're not going to do a starter, that's the one solution that I would recommend rehydrating, and possibly rehydrating with a double pitch. In general, when you're talking about yeast health, the float zone, the area where you're probably okay in most beers, is if you're expecting your beer to be less than 1.065 original gravity, or less than, that would be between 6.5–7%, depending on what your finishing gravity is going to be. Generally speaking, a direct pitch is going to work. You're going to make good beer with it. You're not going to have to risk a lot of things. So let's say you don't do a starter across the board. One thing that I'll add real quick before going on is with really hoppy beers, or beers especially if they're above 1.065 starting gravity, you should probably at least rehydrate your liquid yeast, because the gravity means there's more stuff in the liquid, which means more stuff's going to want to go into the yeast cells, and it's going to damage the yeast cells. And a hoppy beer obviously means there's bad stuff outside the yeast cells, which these aren't going to be able to regulate, and they're going to go into the yeast cells and damage your yeast cells. Those are pinpoints where if you're not going to do a starter, I would still probably at least rehydrate your yeast and double pitch, do all that. Now, as a general rule, if you're making a non-hoppy beer and it's below 1.065, you're probably fine direct pitching. Your beer's probably going to turn out okay. Sometime it still might turn out commercial quality. But the one thing that's consistent about people who make beer on the commercial scale, and they make consistently good beer, is they're taking care of the yeast at every possible stage. And so even if their yeast is probably going to be enough, they're making sure it's going to be enough by doing that yeast starter, making sure they're growing your yeast and it's active and healthy going into your beer. Quick summary: liquid is alive, it's hydrated, it's active, and if not stored cold, it's going to try to go through its natural processes, which means it's going to eat itself, no matter what medium it's in. Dry is kind of stored in stasis. It's in a deactivated state, which means some sort of activation and hydration is going to happen before it actually starts fermenting your beer. These both have pros and cons. In general, they both do a really good job, and if you're doing a starter with both of them, you can kind of eliminate what you think the differences are going to be. Let me know if you guys want us to do a side-by-side with liquid versus dry in every possible conceivable way I can think, to see if we can make two of the same yeasts taste different, or see if they're just naturally going to taste different anyway. That'll be a video in the future. If this video gets, Jess, how many likes?
69.
69 likes and 420 letters in the first comment. You should follow us on Instagram and on YouTube. There's a button for that, and feel free to call Jess. We'll leave her cell phone number in the description below, so you can ask her questions all the time, day or night, 24 hours a day, and then we'll see you again tomorrow probably.